this is going to be a quick discussion after Piece Chapter 909. Now that Oda has revealed Wano and we could be potentially getting the arc as of right now, we don't really know because Oda could play a curveball and really go back and forth, or he could go back to the Reverie, which is still taking place, so it's a 7-day conference. Certain things like revealed in the Reverie, or Oda could just like brush that off and just focus on Wano, which is what he's been wanting to do ever since last year. He wanted to go to Wano a year earlier than he wanted to. Obviously, the whole Island arc took a lot longer than he wanted, and I gotta think this is one of the reasons why, one of the big factors why Oda decided to reveal Wano in this chapter, which, whether you like it or not, was shocking in itself. Another is Oda just wanted to get to Wano. Maybe the editors get into Wano because the way that Oda was presenting the Reverie arc was like, oh, this is high, we want more of this. And it was like, no. If I keep doing this, I'm going to get distracted. We're going to delay things even further. So let's just focus on getting to Wano. Then we can focus on the Reverie, which I am fine with if that's the case, because we're going to get this revealed anyway. And I said this before, and I said this in a discussion a while back, but I said the Reverie, the amount of chapters we're going to get is not going to be many. Less than 10, I predicted. That's what we got, technically. It said within 10 chapters we'll be at Wano. It's less than that, and if the arc... The other thing I said, it was the Reverie arc will be a setup, in my opinion, and I think this is more than just confirmed now, to the Revolutionary arc, or the arc we're going to get about a dragon. We know there's a notebook with a symbol of a dragon on it, which could be referencing the Revolutionary arc, where dragon's going to get its own arc to shine. What better way than the arc is going to be involved with the Celestial Dragons? So that's going to be the setup, the catalyst, and I'm going to make a separate discussion about that later on in the week. But this is really focusing on the first quarter of what we could expect on Wano. And just given half a chapter of exposition on the layout of Japan, we know how the visuals, the artwork is amazing when it comes to the land of Wano Kuni. We expected this, a reference to feudal Japan, just a throwback, obviously the lifestyle, the culture. Even you got the Strawhats in separate roles that are very custom to Japan. So for Robin, for instance, she's a geisha, right? So she's a dancer in Japan. And the reason I think a lot of people's mentioned this, but the reason she's doing this is because she's trying to get closer to the Shogun, which he's appearing, and I guess she's gonna have a confrontation with the Shogun, and maybe because he's possessing a rope poneglyph or poneglyphs, maybe that's the reason why she's doing this, because she looked very uncomfortable dancing to begin with, at least as a geisha. We've seen her dance before. I said she'd be in a prime role like this, and I wonder why she wasn't in the visual. There was a look-alike, so I'm guessing that's going to be the representative, or maybe even the wife of the Shogun. We don't really know yet. The only thing other than half the chapter we have to go by is the visual we saw last year. Robin's going to get a role in this to locate the rock poneglyph. Zoro causes some troubles by the end of the chapter, so now things are going to get even more escalated, and we're only half into a chapter into Wano. So, and given the way that Oda's been hyping up Wano ever since it's been announced, 2 years ago, like, it's going to be the biggest thing to hit One Piece since the Marineford arc, which I am not that. Listen, after everything we've seen from Zoe, from the Reverie arc, I am not down Oda, and even the first part of Whole Cake Island, I am not down Oda at all. So worth the wait, the 5-year wait, half a decade wait for the Wano. So we're finally here. So I get the mixed reaction because a lot of people were enjoying the Reverie, but if you really go about it, we've been waiting a whole hell of a lot longer for the Wano arc. So that's why I don't have a problem with this. Oda's going to go back to the Reverie when he wants to. If he wants to go back in the next chapter, he will. And if he wants to keep going on with the Wano arc to get... Because, look, you got to believe this arc is not going to last a year. It's not going to last 6 months. It's going to be about 2 years at the max. It depends on what Oda wants to do, how he wants certain characters to be positioned. For instance, right, the arc is taking place and Luffy's not even a part of it. I said this was going to be the case. And two reasons why. Number one, obviously time constraints, right? that's obviously why he separated the crew to get more done in the short kind of wanted to wrap up One Piece. That's number one. The second is because of seeing the Team Whole Cake Island, the group that was not in Dressrosa, they were pretty much hanging on the sidelines and dealing with the Big Mom situation, like Nami, Brooke, Sharper, I guess Sanji as well. That group was being focused on Whole Cake Island, so they got the chance to shine in about 2 years or so that we saw them. So that was kind of cool that we got them in the spotlight. Now it's the group that was in Dressrosa's turn that we have not seen in 2 years, minus Luffy. So that's kind of cool. And the fact that Zoro is pretty much in command of the Straw Hats, and he's already got the Straw Hats in hot water, most specifically himself, of where this could end up. Like, remember, this is only focused on the first quarter. We do expect to see most of the Supernova there, not all of them. I know there's a fan-made chapter about the Beast Pirates and the Straw Hat Luffy alliance with the Mink tribe, with the Samurai, and of course with the Supernova. The Worst Generation are going to be there. Most of them are. Kid, we don't know where Killer and Hawkins is. We know Apu's working on, Scratchman Apu is working under Kaido. We know that for a fact. We know Kid's locked up. We know that ex-Drake is working under Kaido. So that's most of the Supernova there. Zoro and Law as well. Law in chapter 909. So I expect if we are continuing with Wano, I expect we see him next. Just to find out what the plan is, because Law, I'm surprised he was not part of that meeting with Kinemon. Blend in and make so not draw attention to ourselves to the Straw Hats. But then again, do they actually know who the Straw Hats are? And I mean the samurai from the citizens of Wano, because obviously newspapers have been flying about to Kaido because he knows about Big Mom having Luffy infiltrate Whole Cake Island. So he knows. So when we saw the chapter, oh, why is he interfering with that old hag's business, his territory? So he knows what happens with Luffy. So they do get newspapers. My question is this: I'm guessing they do, considering the fact they're in the samurai are aware of the Straw Hats, but then again, Wano is closed off from the rest of the world. That's the biggest plot point. That's the biggest goal by the end of Wano, is to open up the borders to the world. And when that happens, things are going to change. Some for the better and some for the worse. So we saw the one who was committing seppuku. I'm assuming he was screwing around with Zoro, touching his blade. The Shisui that we saw him attain from Ryuma, his fight and Thriller Bark with the samurai. He was mentioned too, so Zoro was being as patient as he could be until, I mean, he lost it. He slashed the building in half and pretty much got himself in the hot water. I don't think Zoro's going to be in trouble yet. However, the fact that Zoro is the one to instigate this in the first place, when Zoro's usually good at keeping his promises, regardless of how sometimes careless he can be at directions. Zoro has a principle about him that he's not going to, for someone else's sake, he's not going to screw with anyone unless he's pushed to that brink. So I guess because the way his blades were touched and the way he's been pestered, he couldn't take it anymore. If you noticed in that chat, like I said in the review, it looked like the musicianist that we saw was going to be. I think that's what Zoro sensed, and that's why he did that. Otherwise, I can't see Zoro, regardless if he was touching his blades or not, going to that extent. Because it looked like that musicianist, that girl we saw in the Japanese mask, was going to be pretty much beheaded. It looked like to me. I could be wrong, but that's the way it looked like. So trouble's already initiated, and the way this could end up is most of the hype, the build-up was on Zoro. That Zoro was going to get his chance to shine. He was going to be put through his paces finally, because Lord knows how long we've waited for that, for Zoro to go all out to reveal what could be behind that left eye. We don't know. And maybe a lot of predictions said he's going to use that eye in Wano. We don't really know. So the build-up was there. But what if something does happen, and because Zoro not wanting to cause the rest of his crew more trouble, what if Zoro allows himself to be be captured, to be detained? So we could potentially getting a Zoro rescue arc if that's where Oda wants to go with this. Remember, we just had Sanji, a rescue arc dedicated in Whole Cake Island to getting back Sanji in the crew. So Zoro is not above putting himself in harm's way for the rest of the crew. Remember what he did on Thriller Bark with Bartha Akuma? So I would not be surprised, even though Zoro's strong enough, because of Zoro's character, keep that in mind, what happened with Sanji. Sanji's character, he wanted to protect his crew. That's the reason why he went to Whole Cake Island, to go through with this marriage nonsense, right? Be applied to Zoro, which a lot of people want to compare this arc to the one that Sanji had in Whole Cake Island, because a lot of people theorize and feel lived in Wano at some point. We don't really know. There's a lot of Zoro's backstory we don't really know. So maybe that's the reason why Oda decided to play Zoro in this role, and Zoro be the one to instigate this trouble. So that's one thing that could take place. Another is, and I'm like I said, I'm glad they did this. They're glad that focus on the group was on Dressrosa minus Luffy, except we don't get to see Law. I'm assuming if Law isn't in Wano Kuni, he's in the outskirts. Maybe he's the one that's going to actually meet up with Luffy, and then they're going to meet up with the rest of the crew. But the three things are for sure in this arc. Number one, we will finally get the reveal of what Kaido's abilities are, Devil Fruit, whether or not he's a mythical dragon type, Zoan type Devil Fruit user, or not, or he has the Oni type of ability. We don't really know yet, but we're going to find that out. That's number one, it's confirmed. Number two, I feel now more than ever we're going to get a Kaido flashback. We did it in Whole Cake Island with Big Mom, and she's not out of the picture yet. So I would not be surprised to get an arc and a couple of chapters dedicated to Kaido and what his story is. I can't wait to see that. Given the fact what we know his connection is with Big Mom now. And the third and the final, obviously, we are going to get the Straw Hat reunion. At some point in this arc, we are going to get the full crew reunited with Sanji. After what happened with Whole Cake Island, it's been at least 5 years the wait. 5 years for Wano and 5 years for the crew to be reunited. I don't think it's a coincidence at all. It may happen before the end of the year. I hope so. But that's going to be hype in itself. So once that happens, then all hell's about to break loose now. But I mean, it's really going to fly off the wall once the crew's reunited, and we finally get Kaido and that confrontation with Luffy. Like I said, there's already a fan-made chapter out there dedicated to the fight. I read it, and I'm like, okay, this could be the way things may play itself out, but you never know. I mean, they already dedicated a fight to Luffy and Akainu, and that was fire. So was this. So, according to the fan-made chapter, Kaido and Jack are going to be the final two that's going to be representing the Beast Pirates when by the final confrontation, when we get Luffy. And by the way, so the art style, I've got to give it credit, because the art style, Luffy is in Japanese armor, which could be, that could happen. We've seen it in visuals before, we've seen it in cover arts before. I would not be surprised. And there is fan art of Luffy going in Gear 4 with the body armor, and I think somebody's taken this to heart and actually made this integrating this Luffy design in the chapter, which I like. So, but the form that Luffy uses, he uses Kanikaga Balloon, obviously Gear 4 Pound Man, but then he uses Snake Man, which we saw in Whole Cake Island, which I expect he's going to use in Wano as well. He may unleash another mode, we don't know. But according to this, Zoro is going to be out of commission, so either he's going to challenge Kaido, and the Shogun is going to go to heavy damage, which I don't really see, only because if somebody screws on the land of Wano Kuni, like the Straw Hats, why would they need the protection of Kaido? Why would they need Kaido to get involved if the Shogun could take care of that? It's a great fan-made chapter. It could be the way thing that plays itself out. Although, two things are for sure. We are going to get to see other calamities. Maybe X-Drake is one. We know, I know a lot of people have said this. Sawyer 7 Majors said this. And I've thought about this. And because of Katakuri and his bounty being the highest at the Yonko Commanders, as of right now, we don't really know about Ben Beckham, and we certainly don't really know much about Marcos bounty poster. I mean, you know much about when it comes to bounties, but right now, I would imagine that Kaido has a calamity that's got to be higher than both Luffy and Katakuri. I think that makes sense. But I get why they used Jack, because Jack was obviously a big part of Zoe, and at some point he's going to be facing off against Nekomamushi and Inuarashi. At some point, we know the Sulong transformation's there. We know the Minks are going to be there. So this is going to be some crazy hype. We saw what Carrot could do in a Sulong transformation. We know the drawback. These are my thoughts. But the fact that Oda's going to Wano now instead of like I mean, he could be done with the rivalry for now. So that's fine. But like I said, it's out of left field that we actually got to Wano when we thought we have to wait a couple more chapters. So maybe this is just a one-off. Maybe it's not. But I'm just giving my thoughts now that we have confirmation of what Wano is like, what we can expect, at least from the Strawhat perspective. Maybe Zoro is going to be captured. Maybe he's going to be out of commission by the time Luffy is there. And maybe it's going to be up to Luffy to bust Zoro out and find a way. But remember, Marineford was a rescue arc to dedicate for Luffy with the Alliance he forged and Impel Down with Crocodile, Ivankov, Jinbei, with the Marineford to get Ace out of there. That was the whole reason for going. So that was a rescue arc too. So maybe for the stakes to be raised high enough, maybe someone as powerful as Zoro is going to be captured and maybe even publicly executed by Kaido himself. So that could be what happens. Again, these just my thoughts. Obviously, we're going to get to see Jack again. We're going to get to see Kid at some point. Maybe Law's going to go gather the rest of the Supernova. Maybe they've got intel. Obviously, Momonosuke is going to show up at some point on Zunisha. That just has to happen. And one way or another, I definitely think there's going to be a kidnapping involved. Maybe it's going to be Zoro. Maybe Rob is going to be set up here where they already know the Straw Hat's plan. And, you know, Robin wants to go for that Rob Poneglyph. Maybe she sees it, but then I hate to say this, but maybe she gets captured. I mean, the signposts are there for a kidnapping, so we don't really know, but something monstrous is going to happen. And it doesn't, in my opinion, it does not go well for the Straw Hats right now. It's going to be cool to see the crew in full by the time Luffy reaches them. So all hell's going to break loose. It already has. So let me know your thoughts on the comments below. These are just mine. How you think Wano's going to end up, at least in the first quarter. Let me know what you guys think down below. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Like this discussion if you did. Subscribe to channel for more One Piece. Catch you guys later. Bye.